Hey, welcome to the Weekly Wave. Loss is one of the few universal experiences in life. At some point, we all face it, whether it's the passing of a loved one, the end of a relationship, the loss of a dream, or even an identity we once held close. And yet, for something so inevitable, we are never truly prepared for it. If you're watching this, you may be in the midst of loss right now. Maybe you're struggling with grief, confusion, regret, or even anger. I want you to know that whatever you're feeling is valid. There's no right way to grieve. But there are ways to navigate through it, to find meaning in the pain, and to come out of the other side stronger, even if you can't see that right now. Today I wanted to talk about how we can process loss, honor what we've lost, and slowly begin the journey of healing. This is not about moving on, because truthfully, we never really move on from the things that shape us. This is about learning to carry that weight just differently. So first we got to understand grief. Grief isn't a linear process. It's unpredictable, it's messy, and it can get very deeply personal. There's a common idea that grief follows 5 stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But in reality, grief is not a checklist. Some days you might feel like you've made progress, and then out of nowhere, a song, or a smell, or maybe even a memory brings it all back like a tidal wave. One of the hardest parts of grief is the expectation, whether from yourself or others, that you should be over it after a certain period of time. But healing doesn't follow a deadline. You don't have to justify your sadness or compare your grief to someone else's. Your loss is uniquely yours, and so is the way you process it. Another important thing to understand is that grief isn't just about death. It can stem from any major change in life: divorce, losing a job, moving away from a home filled with memories, even losing a version of yourself that you once identified with. The pain of loss is not just about what's gone, but about what it represented: stability, love, purpose, and even identity. Understanding this can help you approach your grief with more compassion for yourself. Loss leaves an emptiness feeling behind. Whether it's a person, a role, a dream, there's a void where something meaningful once existed. The natural instinct is to try to fill it, to distract yourself or to numb the pain. And while temporary distractions can help you get through the toughest moments, true healing comes from sitting with the emptiness and understanding it. This void is not just an absence, it's also an invitation. It invites you to reflect on what the person, place, or experience really meant to you. It asks you to redefine your identity in its absence. And eventually, it becomes a space where something new can grow, but that does not happen overnight. Instead of running from the void, acknowledge it, write about it, talk about it, sit in silence with it, because in doing so, you give yourself the chance to process the reality of what has changed, rather than fighting against it. And sometimes, facing that emptiness brings up really difficult emotions: guilt, regret, and sometimes even anger. Maybe there were things left unsaid. Maybe there were things you wish had gone differently. These emotions are normal, but they don't have to consume you. Instead of dwelling on what cannot be changed, you got to ask yourself, how can I honor what was? How can I live in a way that reflects the love, the lessons, or the impact of what I've lost? Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, once wrote that suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it finds meaning. This doesn't mean we have to find some grand purpose in every tragedy, but we can choose how to respond to loss. We can let it destroy us, or we can let it shape us. One way to find meaning is by honoring what was lost. Even if you lost a loved one, how can you carry their values forward? If you lost a dream, how can you pivot and change something new from its foundation? If you lost a part of yourself, how can you rebuild it in a way that still honors your past? Another way to find meaning is through service. Often, the deepest pain we experience gives us a unique ability to help others who are going through that exact same thing. Whether it's volunteering, mentoring, or simply being there for a friend in need, Turning pain into purpose can be one of the most powerful steps in healing. But finding meaning doesn't mean rushing into productivity or forcing yourself to be okay before you're ready. It's a gradual process, one that unfolds in its own time. And sometimes the meaning isn't clear right away, and that's okay. Sometimes just surviving the hard days is meaningful enough. You have to allow yourself to heal. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean the pain disappears. It means learning to live alongside it in a way that doesn't consume you. And part of healing is allowing yourself to feel everything. The sadness, the anger, the moments of joy that feel out of place. You don't have to be strong all the time. Sometimes strength is allowing yourself to be vulnerable. It also means taking care of yourself physically and emotionally. Grief, if you left unchecked, can be exhausting. It affects your sleep, your appetite, and your motivation. Even the simplest acts of self-care, like eating a decent meal or going for a short walk or just talking to someone, can help create small moments of relief in that sorrow. Grief is not something to get over. It's something we integrate into our lives. It becomes part of who we are, part of our story. And over time, we learn to carry it in a way that allows us to live fully again. Now, don't get me wrong. You don't have to move on from loss, but you can move forward with it. You can carry the love, the lessons, and the memories without being weighed down by the pain. Over time, the grief doesn't disappear, but it becomes woven into who you are. It becomes part of your strength and your empathy and your overall perspective. If you're struggling right now, know that it won't always feel as heavy. There will come a day where you'll smile again without guilt, when memories will bring warmth instead of just pain, when you'll find beauty in life again, not in spite of your loss, but because you've learned to love more deeply because of it. Now, I want you to know that you're not alone. Healing takes time, and it's okay to take as long as you need, honestly. Be patient with yourself. You got to talk to someone. Honor your grief, and don't let it define you. And if you know someone going through loss, just reach out. Sometimes the smallest gestures, a message, a hug, or simply just sitting in silence with them can mean more than words honestly ever could. Remember, grief is not a sign of weakness. It's proof that you loved. And love, even in loss, is never wasted. Thank you so much for listening.